he didn't tell me how difficult it was. He just told all the stories like he tells the stories, you know. So one of my seminal direct to disc records was Fortune, when I bought them. But direct to disc LP changed my life, and that was Bill Cunliffe live at Bernie's, because Bernie Drummond to me is the god of mastering, of cutting lacquer. And to get a lacquer cut by Bernie Drummond direct to disc, you'd have to either move Bernie Drummond or move the band. And Bernie with the Scully lathes would never carry the Scully lathes anywhere else. And Bernie is a mastering studio, it's not a recording studio. So you can't really make recordings there. But Bill Cunliffe, direct to disc, live at Bernie's was made, I think, early 90s or something like that. And was the only direct to disc album ever made at Bernie Drummond's. And that album changed my life, because I had gone to a concert in Singapore with Jacinta, and Bill Cunliffe was a pianist at that time. And they played a concert. I had brought a date along, and the sound was so bad, we both wanted to leave at halftime. So at halftime, we went down and we saw that they were selling Bill Cunliffe live at Bernie's. So I bought a copy and said to my date, would you like to come home with me? I've got a very nice stereo system. And we brought that.
That used to work.
It always works. It always works. You know, come back and see my etchings. You know.
Yeah, right.
But I've got this brilliant the stereo system, and we went home. We played that LP. We started dragging out all my other direct to disc. We started playing music, and she stayed the night. She's now my wife, and she's gone to buy pizza. But you'll see her here. She's heard this story so many times. So when I started in this, I met Bernie Drummond a few years ago, and I brought he did some mastering for some of the albums with my friends and everything. And one time I sat there and asked Bernie, so Bernie, how come there's only one direct to disc live at Bernie's? He shook his head and said, never again.
Oh.
Never ever again. Because making sure that lacquer doesn't blow and all that, it seems it's pretty stressful.
Yeah.
And what is even more stressful is that he is mastering in real time. And the recording engineer is mixing in real time while the artists were playing. So it's stress on the musicians, stress on the recording engineer, stress on the mastering engineer. So it's not that easy a chain. But I had strategy. You know, I know Anne Bisson from Montreal, very sweet French Quebecois. So I told Anne, I'm going to get Bernie to master one of your albums. So I sponsored Bernie to remaster her Blue Mind, her first album. And Bernie did that, and with Bernie, if you sit with him while he's doing your work, he does better work. You know, and he keeps you entertained. So he did that, and he said he enjoyed the music, number one. That worked. So I had another album for Bernie to master. This time I brought Anne with me, and I had told Anne, you have one job, charm Bernie.
That's easy.
It worked. She charmed Bernie, and then we went, Bernie, Anne would like to do a direct to disc in your studio. And he went, yes, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you that took. Oh, where's my direct to disc? This album sucked up 2 years of my life because it wasn't easy. With the yes, now comes all the hard work. You know, maybe Ken Kreisel getting Ray Brown to play for him. I mean, that's incredible. But we had to find the right recording engineer who was willing to do it. We found the recording engineer who did live. live at Bernie's #1, who did Bill Can't Live. And we paid her to practice for a year before we went into the studio. And we cut this album over 2 days. It took us the one entire day to build a studio inside Bernie Grumman's. And then 2 days of the musicians playing 4 takes, up to 4 takes per side.
Who chose the musicians?
I did. Oh, I picked Anne.
Yeah,
I picked Anne, but Anne picked the backup. Anne picked the drummer and the bassist. So this album is vocals, piano, drums, and the musician was the pianist as well as the vocal.
Is that album for sale here?
That album, Anne's
She's
downstairs.
downstairs.
Yeah.
She is downstairs.
Anne is
She'll
downstairs.
autograph
You
it
can
for
buy
you.
that album from her.
Oh, okay.
She'll even
Yeah.
sign it for you.
Right by the Acora room.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
by a choral room.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's just recording it. And having learned from Steve, we finished the recording on Sunday. Monday morning, bright and early, we were at RTI waiting for the doors to open with the lacquers. Because Bernie said that you'd want the least time
Right.
between cutting and plating. And because a direct to this had not been done in so many years, the RTI guys were waiting for us because they wanted to silver it immediately. And being one of the first of the new direct to this generation, we actually got really excellent quality from everybody down the line. So the lacquers, and I can hear the difference between the cuts that we made on Saturday and lacquered on Monday, and the last cuts made on Sunday and lacquered on Monday, because I know when every side was done. We did not do the sides in order. We did not do side A, side B, side C, side D. So we did sides C and B, C then B, then A, then D. And you can hear the difference between D and C, because when you play the sides, you can hear the difference between 2-day-old lacquer and less than 24-hour-old.
But only on your speakers.
You can hear it on other speakers.
Okay.
Joseph Audio, Jeff speakers, you can hear it there.
Yeah,
There are plenty
yeah.
of speakers. There's a company up here called Vanna2.
Oh,
$600
$600,
speakers.
yeah.
They sound amazing. You know, you don't need these speakers to hear some of this. But the problem was, after we got the test pressings back, the first test pressings, I listened to them, and because I was already in the studio, and I've heard the live, I've heard through the mics, I've heard through the headphones, something was missing. And when I went back to the pressing plant, they said, oh, we use our best audiophile vinyl. I said, can the audiophile vinyl be improved? They said, yes, yes. And that took a long time, because what happened was that then they put me in touch with the vinyl plant here, the TPC, and the vinyl plant got me to talk to their chemical engineer, and then we started working vinyl. We started adding black, we started adding lubrication, we took away plasticizer, so we started mixing the vinyl and making test pressings, and the test pressings are expensive. So we started making more and more test pressings. We ended up doing a lot of up to 4 test pressings, and I brought 3 of them. I can't find the rest. So you will hear the difference when you do a test pressing. It is exactly like Steve said, different machines and different operators sound different. So to make it as similar as possible, all the test pressings were made on the same machine, using the same stamper, operated by the same guy at the same time of the day, because the machines warm up as they go on. So they'll press a run of somebody else's LP, then they'll run one run of test pressings for me, and then they'll run somebody else's LPs. And those were the days before the vinyl got so popular. So vinyl plant still had the time to do this. Now, when I brought my next album to the vinyl plant, they say, oh, you gotta wait for 18 months before we can get it.
Is the lacquer oxidized?
The lacquer, the material is it's made of a substance that's got a lot of volatile chemicals in it, a lot of solvents and things that outgas, and so that's a process that's ongoing. So the lacquer, it's a little bit soft. It just has to be just the right, consistency to cut well. But then what's happening is it's got all of this information, especially the high frequency information, and it begins to, it's hardening, it gets harder. Now, traditional wisdom is that you should never, of course, play back a lacquer that you're going to use for pressing. You never want a stylus do that. But if you do start listening to lacquers, that they're only good for maybe 10 plays before you've worn out the high frequency information. It's not good anymore. I came to find out later on that that is true, but if you let the lacquer age for a while, it actually gets harder. Now it may not sound quite as good as when it was original, but then it's more durable at that point, and it holds up better to be played more. But as Gary is saying, in terms of this whole process of trying to get the most pure result possible, the best fidelity possible, then everything has to move right along. It's because you're losing certain qualities of the lacquer as it ages. And according to Gary, he can hear the difference between one day and the next. So there you go.
So, Steve, let's play some music.
Let's play some music.
Let's